All right, let's dive right in. We're looking at a source today that makes a pretty wild claim. It says that a quiet announcement out of Samsung, something most of us missed, could completely upend the global market for silver. We're talking about turning a simple precious metal into a critical, strategic asset that nations might fight over. And this quote right here, this is the heart of it. The argument is that while everyone was watching the day-to-day price charts on Wall Street, a breakthrough in a research lab just changed the physical reality for silver. So what on earth actually happened? Well, to really get what this breakthrough is all about, you first have to understand the biggest, most dangerous flaw in the batteries that power pretty much everything we own, our phones, our laptops, our cars. It's a problem engineers have been banging their heads against for decades.
Okay, so picture this. Every single time you charge your battery, these tiny, jagged, metallic roots start growing inside it. They're called dendrites, and they just keep growing and growing until they eventually poke through the wall separating the two sides of the battery. And when that happens, boom, you get a short circuit and maybe even a fire. This is the reason our EVs take so long to charge and why you hear about battery fires.
You see, this one tiny problem, these dendrites, is the only thing standing between the batteries we have now and what's called the Holy Grail, a solid-state battery. We're talking about a battery with no fire risk, one that could charge in minutes instead of hours, and could literally double the range of an electric car. You could see why every single major company has been in an all-out race to solve this. So, how do you solve a problem that has stumped the brightest minds in science for years? Well, according to this source, after trying and failing with all sorts of complex materials, the researchers over at Samsung found a shockingly simple solution, hiding in a single, totally unexpected element. That's right, silver. The whole secret, according to the source, is in an incredibly thin layer of a silver-carbon mix on one side of the battery. Think of it like a perfectly designed filter. It lets all the good stuff, the lithium ions, pass through nice and smoothly. But the silver in that layer physically stops the lithium from clumping up and forming those dangerous, spiky dendrites. Now, here's what's so cool about this. It completely changes what silver is for in our tech. We're used to silver being used for conductivity, like in a circuit board. But here, it becomes an active, essential piece of the battery's core chemistry. It's not just helping things along, it's now part of the battery's fundamental DNA, making the whole thing safer, faster, and way more powerful. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist. By solving the dendrite problem, this breakthrough creates a completely new and massive problem, a problem of pure scarcity. And the numbers, when you lay them out, are, well, they're honestly kind of staggering.
Okay, let's look at the math. Your average gas car has about 15, maybe 20 grams of silver in it. A modern EV already uses more, somewhere around 30 to 50 grams. But this new battery technology, it just blows those numbers out of the water. We're not talking about a tiny bit of silver in the electronics anymore. We're talking about coating a huge part of a 1,000-pound battery pack. That could take 200 grams of silver or even more for just one car.
So the source runs a pretty conservative calculation. They assume that, say, 50% of new electric vehicles adopt this tech, and they use about 200 grams of silver each. You run those numbers, and you land on this: 115 million ounces of brand new demand for silver every single year. And that's just from this one thing. And this chart really puts it into perspective. That 115 million ounces, that's more than 13% of all the silver that's mined in the entire world in a year. Imagine a whole new industry, as big as the solar panel industry, just showing up overnight and demanding a massive slice of the pie. A pie that, by the way, is already not big enough to go around. So the obvious question, right, is, well, can't we just find more silver or recycle more of it? And according to the source, the answer is a hard no. It's just not that simple. The usual ways we get more supply are, for silver, basically broken.
This is what the source calls the vampire dust problem. See, gold is easy. It's all concentrated in jewelry and bars, so we recycle almost all of it. But silver, it's dispersed in tiny, tiny amounts, like dust, across billions of old phones, computers, and circuit boards. It literally costs more to get that silver dust back than it's worth. So about 80% of it just gets thrown into landfills, lost forever.
Okay, so recycling's out. What about mining more? Well, we've hit a geological wall. Even if we found the world's biggest silver deposit tomorrow, it takes, on average, 10 to 15 years to get all the permits, build the mine, and actually start producing. A mine found today won't produce a single ounce in time for the EV boom of the late 2020s.
So you've got this perfect storm brewing.
Just as this new technology is about to create a tidal wave of demand, the supply side is getting hammered. The quality of the ore we're finding is getting worse, there's political chaos in the biggest silver-producing countries, and nobody's really invested in new mines for the past decade. It's a classic pincer movement, squeezing the available supply from all sides.
And this all leads to what the source calls the EV paradox. Governments all over the world have passed laws forcing us to switch to electric cars. But it seems like they forgot to check if we actually have enough raw materials to build them. The politicians are writing checks that geology simply cannot cash.
And this is where the whole game changes. Think about it. If car companies literally can't get the silver they need to build the cars the government is forcing them to build, well, silver stops being just an investment. It becomes a matter of economic and national security. The source even suggests that governments could step in and seize supply just to keep their car factories running.
And that leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question from the source material. We've got this incredible, game-changing technology on a collision course with the hard, physical limits of our planet's resources. It really makes you wonder, what's going to give way first? Our ambition or reality?